Could your low carbohydrate diet be backfiring on you? When I say a low carb diet, I guess this is going to be open to interpretation. So a really, really low carbohydrate diet might be the ketogenic diet, which means that there's very, very little, if not no carbohydrates at all. And there's just the fat and a little bit of protein. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people that are deliberately cutting out their carbohydrates because they want to manage their weight and generally get better metabolic health. Now, this can be a really good approach. It is definitely effective and helpful, particularly where there is pre-diabetes and insulin resistance, and actually it can be really helpful for weight loss. But everyone is different, and it might be something that you have to do in your own unique way. And if you are a lady, then chances are a really hardcore low carb diet over a prolonged period of time may backfire. The reason for this is because the brain detects a lack of glucose, it detects a lack of energy, it detects a lack of nutrients and goes into a bit of a survival mode. And survival mode is only meant to be a short-term thing. It's in an emergency only. So if we go into that stress response, we get elevated cortisol. And elevated cortisol, that stress hormone, can interfere with hormone production, sleep. It interferes with the thyroid function and also can elevate your blood glucose levels. So even if your diet is really healthy, meaning not lots of sugar and things like that, it might be that your blood sugar levels can be elevated just by the stress that your body's under from undereating and lack of nutrition. So it's worth thinking, how am I getting on with my low carb diet? How am I feeling? How's my energy? How's my sleep? How's my weight management journey, whatever that looks like for you? And if it's suiting you, then absolutely, that's fine, isn't it? Everyone's different. But if you are still not getting where you want to get and you don't feel great, then I would encourage you to put in some starchy carbohydrates from whole food sources. So I'm not talking about adding in bread and cakes and biscuits. Those things should be had in moderation anyway. What I'm talking about is if you've got a very strict low carb diet where you've only really got things like meat and fish, and then you've got very some low starch vegetables, you might need to bring in the actual starchy stuff. So root vegetables like potatoes, sweet potatoes, squashes, beetroot, celeriac, and then you might be okay with something like some rice, some brown rice. Not everybody is, but putting in a bit of that starch, because then your body will start to feel a little bit safer, and then it will allow the body to function properly. The thyroid is very sensitive to cuts in nutrients, and it's very sensitive to nutrient depletions. If the thyroid is slightly under functioning, which won't show up in a typical test, then you'll find it very difficult to shift weight anyway. So even though it sounds a bit backwards, it really is worth thinking about adding in starchy vegetables if you are having a bit of a struggle with your weight management. And where I would suggest you put them in is in your evening meal first of all, because that's what we need for converting to serotonin, and serotonin to convert to melatonin, and those two neurotransmitters are important for keeping us calm and helping us to sleep. And of course, sleeping well supports all the systems of the body, doesn't it? So just in summary then, low carb diets might suit you or they might not. But if you're a woman and you are struggling with results with your low carb diet, whatever that may be, then maybe consider adding in some starchy vegetables, particularly on the evenings.